Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Friday, April 23rd, 2021. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. You'll notice the ES continues to remain within this range that has developed at these highs here over the last 8 or 10 sessions. Here we've gotten a very clear range-bound market after a very significant melt-up phase. Very clear melt-up phase that preceded this 2-week range right here. And again, that was all triggered by this significant rejection day. Once we got that move again, we've gone sideways here. We've gotten a very narrow range. You can see down here on a 10-day period average, we have a 53% of ADR range compared to average range. Again, that's telling us that we're perhaps somewhere in this mode here after this rally, and perhaps we might see some volatility before we continue higher. So if there's an inability to hold above 40.90, we may be looking at more of a pullback as deep as 39.76, maybe not as deep as that, maybe as shallow as 4K. So it could come right into that zone and then be an opportunity to push back toward 4,200. So right now, watching to see if we get some expansion at some point on an intraday basis. Right now, the 4140 level is the key level to watch. Above 4140 opens up a return back toward multiple day highs, 4168 to 4170, not necessarily through those highs. And a failure to get above that level could start to test the lower end of the range. All right, let's take a look now at the NQ. The NQ has also developed a narrow range at these highs, 10-day narrow range. You can see down here it's been compressed for a while. If I were just to mark these ranges right here again, it's even narrow going backward. This narrow range right here has also developed right at this key range high. You can see right here, and it's a decision point for this market. One thing you notice here yesterday is a 2-day failed new high, which led to weakness all the way back to 2-day lows, not necessarily through them. We have a bit of a failure here, and then a lower high, failed new high failure. That could open up another continuation down. So right now, again, while this market has been very bullish, we might be at a cycle high that could lead to a rotation back down, followed by a bounce back up. The key level that we continue to watch is 13,900, which is the key range high. Again, tried to hold above it, failed, and now it's having trouble getting back above it, which could be the final nail in the coffin before this thing returns back toward 13,313. All right, let's take a look now at crude oil. You'll notice crude right here is trading fairly odd now. It got a pretty significant reaction out of this range. We talked about how narrow this price action was, a narrow range within a narrow range. We finally got the breakout. It led to a great continuation towards 64, but then right here, 3-day range broke both sides of the range, closed to the downside. Now you're seeing an attempt to find a strong low on this day, which failed. It found a low on this day. Is it strong enough to hold and push this thing higher? But now we're developing a failed new high at 62. 62 is the key level, kind of the pivot that we've been watching here. And it's had quite a time around that 62. The fact that it's kind of developing this rejection above 62 and above the previous session's high indicates we're likely headed for a retest of the midpoint. A failure through that midpoint at 61.24 opens up new lows with perhaps even a continuation to the downside. So right now, keeping an eye on 62 as the pivot. Let's take a look lastly at gold futures. Gold has been great. Now, this one has been nothing but downside price action this entire time. You can see the downward trending channel here. Ever since we got this higher low and this strong rejection here, we knew that that might be enough to change the bias of this trend. We talked about it on the first trading day of April, and for the monthly outlook, we discussed the fact that you break above this midpoint, you start heading to the highs of the previous month, and we've now gotten to those highs. Now, for the most part, if price can start can stay above 1765 and especially the 1750 level, overall we're still headed higher toward 1875. These recent highs, 1874 is the key range level, 1874.30. You see 1850 is kind of the last point that a lower high was seen before it dropped away. So we are headed toward that zone right now. We have seen everything that needed to happen come to play, and now we have higher lows followed by higher highs. So again, the next pullback into this trigger zone, perhaps as deep as 1760 or 1750, could provide a continuation for the next 50 to 100 points to the upside. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out heading into the rest of the session. Happy Friday. Have a fantastic weekend. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the trading room. Take care.